Welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James, the Fat Man Stevens,
Hello,
Rob, the old guy,
from the world famous Rob Charney Show.
And that's it.
It's us.
Unfortunately, because of me forgetting some technology we needed, there will not be Ryan this week.
And no guest walked in the studio.
Yep, no
guests.
Nobody held us up and say, we must be on this amazing podcast that 6 people listen to. And
well, you could always get Dave, but we do like our, 3-person audience.
Yeah.
This is true. And by the way, welcome to listening to the home of the fire capital of Northern California, because right now we're on fire in multiple places. And there's 2 fires next to us. There's the Caldor fire.
Well, that's the one that's closest to us.
And then there's the Dixie Fire, which is up towards Chico and Paradise, the town that already burned to the ground.
Right.
And that one's over 1 million acres.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, really? Wow. Yesterday or the day before that, I read it was at 714. I didn't realize it had increased that much in a couple of days.
Pretty bad. I mean, ours is over 100,000 acres.
It's over Caldor. Last I looked, it was just over 100,000 acres.
Yeah.
It was like at 100,000 and some change. But as of yesterday, I didn't check today, but it has 5% containment. So it took them just over a week to get 5% containment.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I mean, the terrain is, for those of you who don't live up in this area, the terrain is just incredibly rugged.
And hats off to the firefighters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was actually I had to get my vehicle worked on. I found out that my brace and piston system was falling apart, literally. Friday. I found that out Friday, and I got it fixed on Saturday, but I'm up there in right by the fairgrounds, which are Placerville Fairgrounds is our staging area for all the firefighters that are coming up, and I'm sitting there, and it's amazing to see all the different counties and fire departments that were pulling in. It was Huntington Beach, County, it was Tuolumne. It was like everybody's coming up here.
Yeah.
So this is the latest stats of the Caldor fire, and for some reason I keep thinking of Lord of the Rings every time I hear the name. It's the size in acres is 108,654 at 5% contained. Right now there is 1,745 feet on the ground with 557 structures destroyed, including one person I went to school with, one person I'm quasi-acquaintances with, and a number of sprinkling of other people I know.
The people are burned up?
Yeah, their homes, yeah.
Their homes. Up. I'm just trying to clarify what
you're right.
You're talking about the people. I go, wow.
Not the people,
Those poor people.
I still know them. They're not Roman candles.
And they're not missing.
No.
Okay.
They're still around. They're posting to Facebook, so somebody's posting it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we make a light of this only because we're living in it. And the thing that's affecting most of us in the areas that are not affected by the actual fire itself, thank goodness we haven't been evacuated where the studio's we're at right now. But the smoke has just been it's been so thick and so bad here that you feel like you're inside a chamber with somebody smoking cigarettes, and you get a carton of cigarettes in about an hour.
It looked like a couple of days ago, last week, it looked like a scene out of Mad Max, because the sky was like a brownish yellow. I did want to say something, though, because the old guy and I have survived a couple of fires. Like, we've been inside a structure as it's burning.
True enough.
And I did, and it's true.
It's true.
I did want to say, if y'all have never had that happen, a couple of words of wisdom is one is, if you're at the present state of mind and not panicking, tell the fire department when you call 911 exactly where it's located. Like, for example, if it's in the basement, if it's in the second floor, it helps them station their vehicles exactly where it is.
Yeah.
That one I know from firsthand. The second is have an idea of how the hell you're going to get out of there. Some places there's one way in and one way out. You don't have a choice. Like Paradise, for example, was really that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to know your location. I mean, even where James is at, he's really only got one way out. Really?
No, I can go up to up E16 and out through Ione, or I can take Sandridge.
Well, yeah, I mean, so yeah, if you want to head out of the county, and of course this fire is already going into Amador County. We're in El Dorado County for those of you listening. And but yeah, you can hit parts of E16 if they're not closed. But here's your problem: you may have one or the other, and you may only have one way out.
Luckily, the E16 wasn't closed then. I don't know if parts of it, because of where the fire is, if it's closed now.
No, E16 is still open. Last I looked, Highway 88 is closed. So they've closed parts of that one.
Yeah,
but thankfully, E16 is still open. It's not quite moving that direction just yet, but that can change at any time.
Yeah, who knows? With the we've been kind of lucky with these winds. Actually, they haven't been.
And for people that don't know, I actually explained this today to somebody I was talking to. So when this fire first started, it started Friday night, or if we really want to technically talk about it, it was like more Saturday morning. But it was late Friday night, early Saturday morning is when this fire started. And acres for about 2 days. And that, it was like one of those where, it was close enough to me that I had some people saying, hey, we need to be ready to take off. And, I kept paying attention to it. And the reason why it sat at 45 acres for that long is because of what is referred to as the inversion layer, and not very many people know what that is.
Right.
And I had to explain it to somebody today. So the inversion layer is the bottom of the forest floor that is just sitting there, that is just a bunch of dead vegetation, basically, and other stuff. And so it was just burning that. And it wasn't really growing because it was getting its fuel. And once it burns through that, that's when it exploded. And when it exploded, it over quadrupled its size. It went from 45 acres to close to 600 acres in less than 12 hours.
I am curious that there are a couple of things I'm wondering on this, because I wonder, did they start trying to, at 45 acres, you didn't hear anything about it. It was kind of under the radar. I wonder, how hard did they try to hit it to knock it out?
They could not. They literally could not get to it. And the issue is where it was. It was unsafe for even the hand crews to get to it. So they couldn't get dozers near it. They couldn't get any water tanks to it. And it was very dangerous for even the hand crews to get near it. So what they did was they tried to set up a perimeter around it, so that when it did burn through that inversion layer, when it exploded, that they had an area that they could try to control it in. But once it exploded, the reason why it grew so fast is because of the embers getting caught up in the smoke, and then they had spot fires everywhere. And that's what really screwed them, and that's why they had such an explosion, is because of the spot fires. And they couldn't get helicopters to it or any of the planes to it because of the smoke.
Right.
The amount of smoke that was pouring out.
The smoke is so thick
they couldn't get anybody up to it.
They can't fly. Yeah, if they can't see the ground, they can't fly, and that was part of the problem.
And there's a couple of issues. If y'all are listening aware of this area, this isn't exactly just climate change. In my lifetime, a lot of this area was logged, whether you're talking about clear cutting or selective forestry. The other thing you talked about, there were a lot of livestock in some of these areas that helped keep some of this stuff down, along with a myriad of other things. And one of the things about California is California seemingly became non-interventionist when it came to forest management. And there were mills the mills that shut down, logging was removed from the area. So some of these areas...
Spotted owls, John. Spotted owls.
Some of these areas were areas that traditionally were logged or maintained or taken care of. And some of them weren't, because they literally are incredibly hard to get to. And that's one of the reasons in this area, some of these fires happen out of the middle of nowhere, because it was impossible in previous generations.
So the argument has been made, forest science is more speculation of what could possibly be instead of a real science. The problem is that there's a lot of arguments on both sides as to what to do with the forest. There's the side that says don't do anything, leave it alone, and it'll take care of itself. But unfortunately, it's been found that because there is so much debris and brush and slash and everything else on the forest floor that gives the fire things to actually light and burn, and it burns so hot it kills the trees. If the area is cleared out around the trees, the fires aren't as hot, and they come through there, and the trees can actually survive it. And that's part of the problem as well.
I would say that kumbaya approach of the forest taking care of itself is true, because burning is part of the cycle. We went to the old guy and I, when I was younger, went to Yosemite. And there was this field I remember being blocked off, and said, "You see, there's that plant right there. Is thought was extinct for like 100+ years until part of this section caught on fire, and they realized that these plants were always there, but they needed fire to germinate." And so that's the forest taking care of itself. And the other thing is because man has encroaching the forest so much, and traditionally we have done stuff. In this particular area we're in, if you look at because this area was really started famously for the gold rush. If you look in the gold rush, you look at some of these pictures, there's barely any trees. There's an order of magnitude of greater number of trees around the area
than there ever was. Right.
And so that's one of the issues is there's no logging they're taking care of. There's just stuff that need to happen. And we understand the fact if you clear cut a forest, you are destroying habitats, and there's some wiser. That's why selective forestry. If you look at engineered wood products, for example, a lot of these companies, the reason those existed, like plywood, LVL, glue lams, is because you're using as much possible of the material. So as technology had advances, the technology to use as much of a log as possible.
Right. So anyway, that's... And now that people have tuned us out and bored the hell out of fire talk, we need to go on to our next.
The last Everly Brothers has passed away. The end of a musical era.
Yeah. We're going to start seeing a lot of that, I'm afraid.
I actually didn't know the gentleman was still alive. I, for some reason, had thought...
Oh, you young kids. You don't understand.
No, I mean, I legitimately thought he had passed away. I didn't realize he was still around. I was like, oh man, he certainly hasn't done anything in the last so many years. Like even talk shows or.
There's I don't have a clue on how his last 20 years went. I mean, maybe he wasn't able to. Maybe he can't, physically isn't able to participate. Who knows? There's a number of reasons.
That's true.
We get old and, we're not always able to be on radio and or podcasts or whatever you want to call this. And so a lot of times you don't hear from people. That's the way it is. It is. But anyway, I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, there's so many people. I don't want to go down the band list of only so many surviving members left. But every major band there is right now, that's the case, unfortunately. Oh, yeah. I mean, ELP, I forgot. Oh, no. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I just try to remember the last remaining member passed away, and unfortunately I've lost which one it was. I'm sorry, guys. I should know better by now.
So but as you said, it's just that they're reaching a certain age, and they're just going to. It's just sadly going to happen.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean,
so to say, talk about get bands. Mick Fleetwood wants Lindsey Buckingham back in the band.
They're going to kiss and make up or what?
No, the problem, it wasn't him who kicked. Stevie Nicks wanted him out, and apparently the story I read, I don't know how much is true, basically said one day he got a phone call, Lindsey got a phone call and said, yeah, you're gone because of Stevie Nicks. So if you're not familiar with a band, they have a love-hate communication with
Fleetwood Mac is
with
what
each
they're
other.
called, and it's been going on forever.
So so apparently Mick Fleetwood wants Lindsey Buckingham back. I'm assuming that it's going to be, farewell tour number 6.
I don't know. Well, I know that Stevie Nicks said she wanted to go back touring again, and they were supposed to start in 2020, but because of COVID, that all got canceled. And so I'm assuming she wants to go back. And I don't know what Mick wants to do. Or
it's funny, you about the one thing I never thought of is a lot of these musicians, and I should have thought about, aren't particularly great at managing their money. So one of the reasons they tour so much is they have bills to pay.
Yeah.
And they're not like, some of these musicians you hear about that have more money than the Catholic Church because they've been wise about their finances. And I have a feeling like some of these bands like Fleetwood Mac, who are known for partying, don't have a great amount of money left.
Well, the person that makes sure that these people get money are their managers. And I haven't really looked into the history of Fleetwood Mac as far as their song rights. I mean, they have an awful lot of very iconic songs out there.
I think
and what portion they get, because that's how so many of the top band members throughout, from Beatles to Rolling Stones to, you keep going down the list of all of them. These guys keep making millions and millions of dollars a year simply because of their rights on the songs and the music and all that. So, I don't know. I have no idea how well they were managed.
So according to this article, and we might have read this on the show, and this is dated January 14, 2021, Mick Fleetwood. Mick Fleetwood has sold his rights to hit songs including "Go Your Own Way" and "Dream" to music publisher BMG, becoming the third member of Fleetwood Mac to strike such a lucrative deal. So so most likely is that
maybe he just, there's a lot of these guys, and when I had an opportunity to be with the band for a while, visit with them and all that. And
he played the triangle.
Yeah, they truthfully they
tambourine.
Yeah, they hell no. I don't want to take Stevie Nicks' instrument away from her.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Oh, no, that was bad. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Stevie. I didn't actually say that.
Misogyny, whatever you say that.
All complaints can be directed to the old guys at TV. Leave MadTrio out of this.
That's right. I'm not going to be hosting Jeopardy anytime soon, so I continue to say things that are controversial.
We got to go into the Jeopardy.
We're going to go to that one, too. Okay, well, let me finish my story about the band. They truly enjoyed playing. They enjoy playing music. They enjoy being around the people. I mean, some of the bands could care less about the crowds and all that. Mick, I got to know Mick a little bit, and nice guy. I mean, really is.
McGilla Gorilla.
Yeah, he's huge.
If you ever guys get a chance to watch concert footage, watch Mick Fleetwood. He looks like a gorilla drumming. He's hilarious.
Really tall and lanky. Very tall guy. All right, so are we going to get into Jeopardy?
Well, I wanted to say something about Jeopardy. I just recently heard the lady who was so basically the story I read was,
be careful now.
The gentleman who won the job basically at some point in time had said something sexist.
Oh, well, he said not only sexist things, but he was anti-Semitic. And there were a number of things that he said in his podcast, hello, out there, they come back to haunt you. So whatever we're saying here may someday come back to haunt you. I'll be dead.
Everything here is in the midst of a conversation trying to elevate the higher conscious and help our people and us to better ourselves by creating an ethos of understanding.
Well, that's why we never call ourselves experts. What we read out here, we're not experts about any of this.
So I wanted to bring this up because I heard something interesting. Now, God forgive me. I don't remember. I cannot pronounce her name. Is
Malik?
Malik?
Yeah.
So a lot of people want to cancel her now because she didn't vaccinate her kids.
Yeah, she's come out and said.
And by the way, she's a legitimate doctor. I think she's a neuroscientist.
Yeah, she has a PhD. I believe, not an MD, but
yeah, I mean she's
damn smart.
Neurologist,
Let's put it that way.
And so I'm waiting for that to happen because right now the anti-vax movement is really heavy. Is not the pro-vax and anti-vax movements are like in full bloom right now. So I'm curious to see what happens.
Malik.
Is that how you say her name?
I'm sorry, I slaughtered that. I know. No, I don't really know how.
I know her.
I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So here's the problem.
I apologize already because I know I've slaughtered it.
I know her as Blossom from the early '90s TV show. So it's like, it's Blossom.
No, I don't think she's going to want to be. Well, I don't know what the heck.
See,
she might.
The other rumors I heard they may reboot that show because with Joy Lawrence, who was in that show, and a couple other people, it was a good quality early '90s family television show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, finishing up on the Jeopardy topic. So Mike Richards resigned. They're asking.
Who is that? I missed that. What? Who?
Mike Richards. That was.
Mike Richards.
He was a producer of the show, and he was, supposedly vetted. There's a lot of controversy over this whole thing with Jeopardy and who's going to be the permanent host and all that. And Mike Richards somehow was announced as the permanent host, and now we know he had to resign because of his past. But the problem is, he's a producer inside the show, so there was an awful lot when his name was announced as the permanent host, there was awful like, well, okay, then, what was the whole deal with all these guest hosts and all that? If you know that your own producer is going to all of a sudden become the permanent host.
I know what that was. It was, they probably knew it from the beginning. It was just to fill up space and time. And also was the fact if there was somebody that the audience loved, that they could have made the switch. Like everybody, not everybody, a lot of people wanted LeVar Burton, Sacramento Zone.
Yeah,
I did. And
did you watch him?
So
he did well, but he didn't do great, to be honest with you. And he's come out and said it doesn't really want the gig.
Oh,
and so the other
that's probably why he didn't do so well, because I guarantee he has the ability to do well with that show.
He does, and he sounded really good, and he did well. But if you had watched, and I watch the show almost every night. Not that I'm any good at the show, but I like to watch it because I like to throw out my wrong guesses all the time.
Yeah, it's an interesting show too, actually.
Yeah, it is. You kind of learn things that I'm sure I forget right after the show. But the point being is that there was some, one of the people I really liked the most was Aaron Rodgers, surprisingly enough. Now Balaam is very good. I liked her too. I thought she did really well. There were some others that, the other one that was really good is Ken Jennings, who's the all-time winner. And I thought he was
canceled though.
He didn't so much get canceled. Wasn't chosen, but he's now also an inside producer for the show on content, and I really liked him. I thought he did a fine job, and so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. I know going forward they're going to go back to guest hosts for a while. We'll see what happens. So
the most interesting thing about this though is how much he had giant shoes to fill. Now, if anybody's not familiar, Art Fleming was the original host, as far as I've been able to research, of Jeopardy. He was from 64 to 75. And then I think that's about when, and I could be wrong, Trebek took over sometime in the mid-70s and up until he passed away. And Trebek did an amazing job on that. And if
Art Fleming was damn good. Now, that was the early days of the show and all that. And I grew up with him as a kid growing up watching him, and I thought he was fantastic. And I had a little hesitation when Trebek took over, but he obviously did a very good job as time went on, and he matured into those shoes. And now it was just you mentioned Jeopardy, and you automatically exactly.
And I would say if any of you have never done anything in front of the camera, it's really hard to come across well on camera. If you ever seen like television action shows, and the reason why people they look like cardboard cutouts is because it's a really hard medium, not only not to fidget, but to communicate with the camera, to look at Guy Fieri. I know a lot of people hate him, but to be that animated and not come across as an idiot is really hard. And if you look at Alex Trebek, the way he came across, and he was a game show host from way back, and he did such an amazing job. And so I think anybody in there is going to hard shoes to fill. Now, I don't care the gender of the person. I just want them to live up to what he did.
Yeah, that may be impossible. You may have to mature into the position. You'll do the best you can in the beginning. As you go along, you'll get better and better.
And I think
a great one to bring up is Drew Carey.
Yeah, Price is Right.
Now,
I haven't seen his version. Is it any
right?
good?
I mean,
he does well.
Yeah,
he does real well.
Yeah, he does a really good job. But initially, I don't think he was that comfortable in that role. But now I think he's doing a great job. I haven't watched it in a long time. Everybody seems to love him in that role.
Yeah.
And he had huge shoes to fill going with Bob Barker,
Yeah.
Because wasn't Bob Barker the guy who started the show?
Well, I think it's a Merv Griffin show, but
I meant
to be the
original host.
I think so.
He started the show as the host.
I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That isn't germane to our discussion here. But when you tackle any of those shows, I mean, what's Wayne Brady on? He's on another one he does too. But anyway, that whole Drew Carey, Wayne Brady.
Well, I know he took over Whose Line Is It Anyway when Drew Carey left to do The Price is Right.
Right. So, well, now I don't
know what he's doing now.
He's got a game show.
So here is something.
He's got a game show now?
So here's something I didn't know. The franchise began in '56 as a television game show hosted by Bill Cullen. That's Cullen.
Oh, yes.
Was revamped in '72. This
Go
version was
Colin.
originally hosted by Bob Barker. Since '07, Drew Carey has hosted the program. So I didn't realize it was from the 50s. So so it's basically from the golden era of game shows.
Yeah.
Is one of the few surviving shows of that.
It's interesting that they're bringing back a lot of the older shows too. $100,000 Pyramid was, I think, the $10,000 Pyramid back in the day, and they're bringing back a lot of the older shows as well, because the truth is
Jay Leno's going to be
good shows.
A game host for one.
Yeah, I heard that too. I think Jay just ought to stay Jay's garage and Jay Leno's garage.
I
stay
think,
retired.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
I mean, if I had his money and all his cars, I wouldn't care about doing a game show. I'd play with the cars.
I think Jay Leno's a household name now that he's going to get so many offers.
Oh, I'm
to do
sure.
this or do that or do this, that he's probably finally just going like, if it'll shut you guys up, I'll do something.
Maybe.
So, and he's in his 70s too, so he's not but he's pretty spry for being as old and as large of a man he is. A popular game show is making a comeback. It is making its way back to TV with a new host and a new channel. Jay Leno will host You Bet Your Life.
Oh, wow. That's the Groucho Marx. It's a Groucho Marx reboot on that. Huh?
I think he'll do good with that, because if you ever watched the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, he was a fairly good interviewer. Like, he was able to keep it light and get into some controversial topics. He was really good at navigating the waters. And so I think he'll do good. He's no Groucho Marx by any sort of imagination.
But I don't know if he could even get away with that material that Groucho did back then either. So it's a little bit different.
He's probably safer than Richard Dawson and kissing all the female game show attendees.
Oh, hell no, you can't get away with what Groucho Marx did. I mean, especially in our cancel culture that we're in these days. I mean, can you imagine having the Marx Brothers running rampant these days?
No, probably not. Oh my
gosh, they'd be burned at the stake.
And there goes James. We're gonna have technical issues on today's show, so we apologize for that. We're kind of running on. We're running on cups and strings to get communication going. James is in a remote location, and like we said, due to the fire, some things are going on.
He's keeping himself. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is my ringtone, Thundercats Ho. Hold on, as I transfer James into here
back into our conversation.
Are you there, James?
Sorry, guys. For people out there, the two people who are listening, we have terrible reception in Northern California right now.
I thought maybe you ran out of minutes. I don't know, because you're calling in. James is now officially out of minutes.
He's in a safe location, trying to hide from the fire and the IRS.
Anyways, so John, do you have HBO Max?
I have access to it. I don't.
I do.
Yeah, that's how I have access to it.
Now, are you going to go to the theater for Dune, or are you going to watch it on HBO Max? That's the question.
If it's available on HBO Max, I want to see it.
I'm going to the movie theaters.
Then
HBO Max.
Then I will see it. Partially,
and I think they said October.
Ooh. So here's the question: how long do you have access to it? Because I want to watch it a couple of times.
On HBO Max, they usually run it for a month or two before they.
But you got to remember also that
here we go.
You're paying a premium.
October 1st, the Dune 2021. The release date is October 1st, 2021.
So how long do you get to have access to it? Is it a week?
Well,
about a month.
About a month. Okay, yeah. So I'll do that for a couple of reasons.
Are you going to pay $30 because that's what it's going to cost?
I'll do it. So. For a couple of reasons.
HBO Max. No. HBO Max doesn't charge you $30.
No, I believe they do.
It's got.
No, I have it. I gotta watch the Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, all those movies that are released from theater get the same release on HBO Max for no extra charge.
Really?
So I assume they're gonna do the same with Dune.
So all right. I'll have to take, because I have it. I'll have to take your advice for that.
I'm gonna do it because right now I have no interest in going back to the theaters. Just. Partially is because I've got a young kid.
He's not vaccinated, folks. He's one of those. Wait.
You would take your son?
No, he said
to go see Dune?
Well, no. One of the reasons, he would not.
One of the reasons
he would not take his son.
One of the reasons I'm not particularly.
His son's 4.5, guys. He's not taking his son.
I don't want to go to the theaters right now because I have a son. I'm not interested in really going into the public a whole lot. I try to avoid that. And I have a pretty kick-ass home theater system, so I don't really need to.
John's anti-people right now.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I got to say, when I really get in the mood to be around people, I have the perfect game for you to play. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, because I want you to hear a word from our sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Audacity. The game word dignity is overrated. Go to ODDASSITY.com. That's ODDASSITY.com. Pick up a card game from this website or selected stores. That's Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people. And I want you to make sure you go to that website, audacity.com, to check out where you can get them. They're adding card stores and places you can buy them all the time, or you can buy it from their website. And like last week, a shout out to Miss Audacity herself, one of my favorite people to
Melanie.
talk to. So
Hi, Melanie.
As soon as
I still want dude wipes.
Okay.
You guys working on that? We got to get our intern working on
You
that.
have more free time than I do.
Hey.
I've got a 4-year-old.
Where's our intern?
James?
Wait, what?
What?
Forget it.
Never mind. You're out of it. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys, got to completely change topics here all the way. All right, we ready? No. So I came across, you know how I like lists? I got a list of...
You and your listicles.
Well, hey, it's my shtick. The most unreliable cars in the U.S. according to owners.
Modern or...
Modern.
Oh, well, so much for the AMC
So
Rebel.
every car on this list is a 2021 model, except for the electric car that I'm going to mention.
Is the... So I'm going to... Can I name out a couple? Is the Equinox on there?
Well, it's yours isn't a 2021.
But is the Equinox on there?
Believe it or not, it's not.
Well, fuck.
But this is, it probably is number 11, and I only go to 10.
Damn, that's about right.
All right, so we'll start at number 10. The Volvo, this is a surprising one, Volvo XC60 had a reliability score out of 100 of only 28.
Wow. Volvos are usually pretty good cars for the price.
They've been running on that reputation for quite a while, but my understanding when I was researching a little bit, they've got cars out there that are not as good as you would think.
Didn't you have a Volvo that got set on fire?
We had a Volvo. It was a piece of junk. No, nothing set on fire, but it was terrible. It was just awful. But that was a 70s era Volvo. But yeah, I didn't like it at all. It was terrible. All right, ready. Number 9, Ford EcoSport.
What the...
EcoSport. EcoSport's a really cheap little car. 28 out of 100 too. I've heard of it. So it's got the same rating as a high-end Volvo XC60. This cheap little Ford is no bad. Might as well buy the Ford if it's going to be as unreliable.
Here's the problem.
Here's one that's not going to be as
I've heard of the Volvo. I've never heard of the Ford.
EcoSport. Well, you've heard of Ford.
Yeah, I've never heard of the Ford EcoSport.
Have you heard of the XC60?
Yes, actually.
Oh, yeah, right. He's just saying that. He can't prove it. All right, EcoSport, whatever that is. All right, number 8. This is not going to be a surprise to many of you out there that have had one of these, or many of these, Jeep Wrangler. It's only got a 27 out of 100.
See,
I'm not a Jeep fan.
I want a Jeep, but the issue, but one of the issues with the Jeeps is the more complicated you get with them, the reason I want one is making it complicated. Because the Jeeps originally, like if you get like a 70s era Jeep, they're simple to repair. Like as soon as you get into like the early 90s, when you add stuff, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Anyway, haven't had a couple of them.
Just get a Willys.
They're fun to play with.
Jeep and call it good.
Yeah, and, but that's okay. So here's the one. Here's number 7, Tesla Model S. Really? Elon, what's going on here?
Model S. Which one is that? A car?
That's
or is
expensive.
That one of their SUVs?
No,
that's a car.
That's a car.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised considering electric vehicles.
26 out of 100. I am because the others rate so high. So the Model S, the 2021 Model S is having problems.
But they had issues with the S from the start, so I'm not particularly surprised.
Could be. Yeah.
But overall,
and that's their sport model, right?
Yeah.
But overall, they've had pretty good reliability. However, I can't talk, and I promise I haven't had anything to drink.
We'll get back to it because I've got a story about we're going to mix music and Tesla together here in a moment.
Okay, then I won't say anything about their autopilot having issues.
Well, we've talked about it before, so we won't cover that area. We'll go to something new because I got something new on it.
And running into emergency vehicles.
Yeah. So, all right. So next, number 6, Chevrolet Colorado.
Just say Chevrolet.
Just say Chevrolet. Well, yeah, because there's 2 of them. I have Chevrolet, and I own one. But all right, number 6, 26 out of 100, very good. Back to Volvo. Number 5, XC90, 26 out of 100. So Volvo's striking out on 2 of these. That's not good. Next, Jeep again, the Jeep Compass, which I've heard is just terrible.
Is that another? Is that another
now,
takeoff?
Okay, I got a question, Rob.
Yeah.
Now this would be you'd have to do some research to figure this one out. Are these Volvos still being manufactured from Germany, or are these a different plant?
I'd have to look, but I believe they're made over here.
Oh, okay.
I think they're.
That could be why.
Well, I suppose. But all right, so we're not surprised with that one. Here's Jeep again, the Jeep Compass. I talked about that, 210100. Next one is Volkswagen.
Well, the Compass,
Volkswagen Atlas.
Is the Compass a takeoff of the Cherokee?
It's a small. Yeah, I think it is. It's their smaller.
Okay, so basically it's
Grand Cherokee. It's not really a Grand Cherokee. It's a smaller.
But it's the brand or model that has always had issues. I don't know anybody every person I know who's always had a Jeep Cherokee or an offshoot of it, besides like the old one from the 70s, have always had issues with them. Yeah,
I don't know. Somebody told me if you're going to, buy one of them, buy one with the warranty on it and sell it as soon as the warranty, right before the warranty's up, because otherwise it's just nothing but a problem.
This is why I want to find a Cherokee Chief.
Yeah, okay. Well,
won't have any issues.
Have fun. Volkswagen Atlas, I don't even know what that is, but
it's really old. A Cherokee Chief?
No, I'm talking about the Volkswagen Atlas.
That's what I just heard. The
Volkswagen Atlas.
What is that?
Sounds familiar.
Volkswagen Atlas. I don't know. I've had 2 Volkswagen Bugs, the original 1960 Bugs, which has been just great. But anyway, so that's only a 1900. Here's one that surprised me a little bit. A Subaru, number 2 on the list, a Subaru Accent. And it's only 1800. And Subarus are generally known to be very dependable. But
so it looks like the Atlas is an SUV.
Okay. Well, don't buy one.
Yeah, so it's a...
All right, so then...
This is a warning list, John.
Yeah, it's warning.
You should be taking notes.
Don't research it. Besides, you're eating up your bandwidth for James.
I was actually trying to figure out what type of vehicle it was. So it looks
Look it up after the show.
Looks like it's a crossover.
Probably. All right, here's the number 1 least reliable vehicle on my top 10 list. And I have one sitting right out here. The Chevrolet Silverado. The 1500, which is supposedly their version.
And this is a 2021.
2021. Now, I got a 2019, but it doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it. I've had no problem.
The problem is they're just not built Ford tough.
Yeah, that's for sure. My daughter-in-law drives it more than I do. She hasn't had any problems with it.
No, this is true. Trucks.
There's my top 10 worst cars list.
I would say one of the issues I think with the reliability in cars is now they have too much technology in them. Like all these things like lift gates, all these modules. Like my dad had a 97 M3. I remember getting an oil change and getting something changed. You walk out the door, it's $10,000. There's just so much to change in cars nowadays.
That's a BMW. That wasn't a new one either.
No, but here's the issue. It's like it was $10,000 then for a high-end car, and now it's $10,000 for a normal car.
So yeah, depending on what goes bad on it, yeah.
Reaganomics apparently works in cars. And that's the issue. Now, like trucks were supposed to be basic vehicles that anybody could fix, and now they're as complicated as a car.
There's too many regulations. I mean, unfortunately, it has to be that way between safety regulations and smog and everything else. It's just it's all got to be driven by computers, so you don't have a choice.
You don't.
It isn't what it used to be. It just isn't. But with that all said, reliability on vehicles now are better than they've ever been.
Except for transmissions.
And the 2021.
Yeah.
Well, at least that 2021 models anyway aren't pretty good. Well, hopefully the 2022 models will be better. I don't know. So we'll talk about that. So since we're kind of on cars.
Reopen?
What's that?
Instead of the factories at full.
That's my understanding.
Fully reopened?
If they can keep employees, that's my understanding.
They're still having chip issues.
Well, but that's bad. From what I read last night. You're right. There's still a shortage of chips. But that whole thing is getting better.
I know. I did read a story a while back. One of the chip issues was this stop the engine when you're stop at a stoplight type of thing. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the reasons they were delaying it. It's like, can I remove that? Like, I drive a hybrid, so I'm fine with it. But I've been in cars, straight gas car, no hybrid, and it just stops. And it's like, can I not have that wear and tear on my starter?
Many years ago, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe it was Cadillac that came out with an engine that they thought was great to help save on fuel mileage. I think it was a 6-cylinder. It could have been 8, but it would run when you stopped. It would run on 3 cylinders.
That was very common for a while.
They're all failed. Those engines were horrible.
Well, there was Chevy. I wish I remember. There was one manufacturer I remember. Maybe it was GM that actually had it. Like your V8 Ford truck would be a 4-cylinder.
V8
for a
Ford
while.
truck from GM. I don't think that's the case.
That's why it was a piece of shit. But it was. I think it was GM's. It was a GM product.
But it wasn't a Ford. It wasn't a Ford GM hybrid.
Yes, it was. That's what I'm sticking to, and that's the story. But it was one of those things where the engine would shut down a couple of cylinders if you weren't under max load. Right. And the issue with
they keep trying that. They've worked on that off and on and haven't found that it really did much.
Well, the problem is it's still rotating. I don't know how you physically disconnect a something that's connected.
Well, I know. Talk to their engineers. They thought they had it figured out. So we're talking about cars and
no, one more thing.
Forget it. I'm not going to do this then.
Ford is coming out with an electric engine that you can drop in a car. That's all I was going to say.
Ford is coming out with an electric. But what are you going to do with the batteries?
An electric crate engine.
An electric crate engine, but what do you go? Buy Duracells and stick it in the car? I mean, come on. It doesn't work that way.
Ford.
I don't know.
We'll just have to see.
Maybe it's like, how they used to have those fuel tanks where you have 2 tanks, they still have them. They still put them in some vehicles. Maybe that's how you do. You just flip the switch and it goes from electric to gas. I don't know.
Okay. I'll believe
you
anything.
hook it up in the back.
Whatever you say, James. I don't know. It seems pretty. I mean, not a bad idea, but I still don't know how they do the batteries since we're still dealing with batteries.
I don't either.
I'll tell you the story after Rob's. Just a little tease.
Oh, you should. Well, my only tease is we were talking about music and cars, and so I don't know. I'm assuming most of you know who David Crosby is.
David Crosby or Crosby?
Crosby. Sorry.
I knew
David Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby.
Because I was going to say,
Crosby's, he was in the Byrds, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. So he's a Tesla fan. He loves his Tesla until he tried to order a Tesla. He says, and I'm going to quote him. This is David Crosby. So I'm a fan of Elon's. I think his efforts are getting the humans into space are fantastic. But we ordered our Tesla 7 months ago. They have lied to us 4 times that when we could get it, we can't get it, and they're still lying about it. He says, and I'm seriously looking at canceling my order and looking to a Porsche. So, Crosby doesn't have as many followers on Twitter as Elon does, but he still has 196,000
He doesn't have as much money as Elon either.
No, he doesn't, and never will. But the point is I thought it was kind of funny that Volkswagen AG is probably saying, hey, David, come on over here. We'll get you into a electric Porsche.
But I thought that was issues with the Tesla, even now. But they've always had supply issues to some degree.
UFC fighter, Binroll, the Rush. How are you up on this? Anyway, he also called out Tesla, and he said he ordered his 6 months ago and still hasn't been able to get his Tesla. So I imagine there's a lot of you out there that are probably trying to get your Teslas, and you're just not able to, I guess, depending on what model it is. But
I'm waiting for my Tesla, and I haven't even ordered it and can't afford it. But I'm waiting for it.
Well, I almost ordered one. But
Elon, if you're listening, I'll take donations.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to sell it just to pay for the show, but go ahead, Elon.
Right. Ford Performance introduces a 281 horsepower electric crate motor. This is from...
Well, sure, look at how low the horsepower is in that thing. You can run it on solar cells.
This is from JALOPNIK. Looking to swap your internal combustion engine for electric power? Ford's got something for you. Meet the Illuminator. The Eliminator. It's ELUMINATR. Crate motor.
I'm not even going to bother. Okay. So you remove your
gas engine.
You
put in your electric engine. But I'm hoping bolts up to your
put it right in. I mean, this sounds like you actually got to know what you're doing.
Is it direct drive? Does it run off a belt?
So it looks exactly like the engine. So I'm assuming what it is it's just a drop in, because in order to do this.
So you put an electric motor onto the transmission that's designed for a gas engine. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm doing one of these fast reading.
Doesn't make any sense to me at all.
And the other thing about that is That sounds like dangerous as hell.
Nah,
because
this is
those electric power cells, if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you just plug it in there and don't get it hooked up right. It sounds like that, some tweaker's going to be causing some damage.
now electromodding cars has been around for a while. Jay Leno's electromodding a very old car.
Yeah, but if they're sitting there, but these are people that know what the fuck they're doing. This sounds like this is like they're going to the masses and saying, here's an idea. Do it.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Start. So if Ford say no, we'll start it.
Well, if you're buying a crate engine, either you know what you're doing or the person you're doing it from has an idea, because that's an enthusiast thing when you're ordering your engine, or it's a shop.
Right. I'll agree with John on that one.
I'll give it to him. But I'm just saying, it just sounds like some tweakers are going to be pulling some shit and blowing some shit up.
I am curious about the batteries, though.
What's the difference, right?
The batteries is the one thing that I haven't seen. Apparently, they're gonna say more sometime later this year towards the SEMA show. But the batteries is I think James is right. What are they gonna do? Is Ford gonna make a first-party battery? Are there third-party batteries for some of these cars?
Good question. Because I think the factories can't produce enough just to provide the batteries for the cars that are trying to be produced off the factory lines right now. Of course, Elon's got his own, but the other...
Yeah, he has multiple gigafactories making batteries.
Right. So, I don't know that they're selling batteries to the general public just to say, hey, here's a battery pack for you. Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the other question is, Jay Leno's using batteries that are water-cooled. Too, and in that one car. So there's a lot of ifs in this, but I thought it was cool that they're finally starting to get into the enthusiast market. Now, 281 horsepower in the world where you can buy a 1,000 horsepower car off the lot, like, the high-end Chevy Corvette is not.
It kind of sounds like, those Hot Wheels cars that the kids get, like the Barbie Jeep and
right?
That's what it kind of makes me think of. Is like, is that how fast you're going to be going?
Yeah,
I mean, can't imagine anyone driving the hills up here with those.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I mean, you're going to get there in like a week.
But when you think about it, 250 horses is still pretty good. I mean, it really is. A light enough vehicle that can get you.
My Acura is 240 horsepower.
Yeah.
And so that's quite a bit.
Yeah, it really is quite a bit. It just, in today's electric, when you talk about electric cars, and you look at the horsepower that they're generating, is the electric Mustang that's out there. I think it's 900 and some horse.
But that.
Oh wow!
You also brought up another question about the transmission. Is it have to be an automatic? You can't drop in like a Tremec 6-speed?
No, it has to be an automatic
because you shatter it.
That's the other problem. From my understanding, people have been playing around with these electric motors. They can't go with a standard transmission that you bolt up to a gas engine. It just won't work. Too much torque.
Yeah, so it's going to have to be. So is it an all-in-one unit? Are there manufacturers that know, hey, like...
There's got to be a conversion on it at some point.
My guess is they probably sell it. I bet they sell a transmission to go with that engine. Huh. That's probably the way to do it.
Or there's an aftermarket.
So you have to buy the engine and then you have to buy the transmission separately.
But that's not uncommon, though. If you're gonna,
it's like buying the toy without the batteries.
Right,
but that's
batteries not included.
Transmission not included.
But that's not super uncommon for people who are buying crate engines, unless it's a straight drop in. A lot of the time these guys are okay. I want So if they're upgrading a car and it's like 600 or 700 horsepower, which is more than the previous car, you're obviously going to have to get an upgraded transmission, or you're just going to completely grenade it. So that's not particularly surprising. The question is, does it have to be a special type of automatic? Because
that's my understanding for electric, but I don't know. But they're special. They're running off a whole different setup,
and there's no buildup. Like it's basically power applied, go.
Exactly.
It's instantaneous.
There's not shifting gears. Let's put it that way. It's just go.
Well, like a combustion engine kind of spools up. Whereas, where if you put, once power's applied, it's instantaneous speed, instant torque. There's no, build up or yada, yada.
Listen to us talk like we know what the hell we're talking about.
I have an idea of what I'm talking about.
I full on admit I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. These are just questions I have.
Yeah.
I've watched.
I can have questions and not know what the hell I'm talking about.
I've watched Power Nation I watched Power Nation TV when it used to be Hot Rod TV, so I know that's how much I know about cars.
I watch Motor Trend.
Motor trench motor.
What's that mean? What are you poo-pooing me on this? Hey,
Motor trend.
Motor Trend. I think they just had their 40th anniversary. So they have a show that's gone for 40 years. Wait till you have a show that goes for 40 years.
I had a show that go with for 5 that nobody listened to.
There you go. See, so we're just doing this because we want to have fun, and Melanie listens to it.
Yeah, this is true. I have one. I know at least 2 people who listen, maybe 3.
Anybody listening, we need an intern. We need an intern to do stuff for us. All right, I got more lists. I got another top 10.
Well, Rob lists. Well, Rob holds on to his list. I apparently am hammered. Just listen to this, damn it. Do you want to keep up to date on the maddest of the mad at the MadTrio podcast? Check out our social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to themadtrio.com. And I do want to give a shout out to a couple of people. Matt Brewer from the band Masters of Unlocking. Go to their Facebook page and or their Instagram. Keep checking out with them. Also check out with our friends over at Shunk Films. See what they're up to. Just a couple of people are friends of the show.
Oh, good. Nothing like screwing up their lead-in, though.
I know, right? It's like,
You want to try that again. And shout out to our...
this is what happens when you drink before the show. It just causes nothing but problems.
You should always drink after the show.
Well, you should be drinking during the show, too. Why did you stop?
Because I was hoping by the time I got to the show, I wouldn't be as hammered as I really am.
So...
Well, you just keep drinking, then you won't feel it.
I feel really lucky because I've been able to come up with my list. Two top 10 lists in one show. That's pretty amazing for me. But this one is kind of interesting. So the 10 secrets flight attendants will never tell you. Now, I don't know if I believe these or not, but that's what they say here. So, because some of these I know.
They're not the in-flight waitresses or the stewardesses or they're flight attendants.
Attendants. No, you can't. They're not stewardesses anymore. That's sexist.
No, because a guy's a steward.
They're all stewards. Just like all actors are actors.
No, like it's a male and female. Steward and stewardess.
Nah, can't do that anymore.
Why not?
That's not appropriate.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, see? You're already inappropriate.
So much for calling. So when I want my drink, I can't ask the sky waitress.
No, you can't. They're not waitresses anymore. They're servers. You're really out of touch, dude.
I don't leave my house much.
Obviously not. All right.
And
10.
this is why he's not allowed to leave his house.
Yeah, exactly. He'd embarrass us. Well, anyway. Top 10.
All right.
Secrets flight attendants will never tell. Number 10, those emergency oxygen masks deliver a supply that only lasts 15 minutes.
Since it's a chemical reaction, I totally believe that.
Mm-hmm. So the average is between 12 and 15 minutes. So don't panic because pilots will take the plane to a lower altitude where actually in time that you're not going to run out of oxygen unless he's, up in space. And maybe, Blue Origin and Virgin Atlantic or whatever he's calling that. Branson's calling his thing. They're up there. They may need 2 oxygen masks again now. I don't know. Number 9, if anyone dies during a flight, they may need to stay in their seat. So if somebody passes away next to you, they're going to be there through the whole flight. There's nowhere else to put them. It's not like I have a morgue inside an airplane.
They need an extra one. They need an 11. They will use duct tape.
Brian, we have a job for you.
Yeah, that's right.
You're going to fly on planes and dispose of bodies.
We need somebody to do that. Just open up a hatch and throw them out. And they're frozen sickles by the time. The people sickles. Oh God, it's
got to land right in the middle of like some guy's house. Honey, it's raining bodies.
Or kindergarten playground.
Somebody's going to pull this show. Just know it.
So do you think like it'd be funny if somebody was listening to the song "It's Raining Men" and boom, there comes one?
Oh, that'd be bad. All right, number 8. Those chimes, you hear the sounds, mid-flight. Did you know they're actually a secret code for things like
I did.
Yeah,
paging the sky waitress.
Know that.
They can be saying there's an emergency. They could be saying that it's some kind of change in the route. There could be a delay or something. So instead of just picking up the phone or texting them, they ding dong, and it means something. I always wondered what it meant. How about those?
Yeah, I don't know the code, but I always knew it meant something for that. Flight attendants or whoever else was supposed to be paying attention to.
Generally, from what I understood, is that the front of the airplane generally rings that bell for the back of an airplane to try to get their attention for whatever reason it may be. Pick up the phone, there's an unruly customer, or whatever it may be. There's usually a reason for it. So number 7 on my list is the headsets and earbuds that they're passing out. They're not new, nor are they cleaned.
Is that a shocker? I mean, come on, let's be honest here.
That's why I always get my own, or I bring my own, or you can buy them.
Yes,
I remember
and
when
if you buy them, you get new ones.
I remember when they had
renting them.
But they put them in these little bags, and you think that they've been cleaned, but they're not.
I remember when they had a special connector. They had a dual prong connector.
Yeah.
Well, they also had the ones initially when they finally started bringing those out that were run by the air system that was pumped in. It was actually had air driven. I don't know. I'm going too far back for you guys. Anyway. All right. So number 6. Wow. Yeah, I know.
Wow. You even out-olded for James.
Flight attendants hate pouring Diet Coke.
Really?
Yeah, it says no other drink fizzes as much as a Diet Coke.
Then why
and it requires extra time to simply wait. And one of the interesting things I noticed on one of my flights, sometimes I'd ask for a Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, whatever. They actually give you the whole can in a cup of ice and say, pour your own. Now I know why. It takes too long.
By the way, that's a hack for getting the whole can, not just half.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still doing that, but that was a while ago. Number 5. They'll give you the whole can if you ask.
Really?
Yeah, they will. And that's my number 5. That's the fifth one of my number 5 list.
I didn't realize Rob was taking sips of my alcohol.
Boy, it must be. It's the smoke. I swear it's the smoke from the fire. It's just getting us all. Since
that area, they do have some. They're growing some.
That's true.
Former illegal
green leafy things out there that are burning along with it too.
We're really all stoned.
That's what's going on. The smoke hit over this way, didn't it? Okay, number 4. Your boarding pass contains a lot of secrets. Incredibly personal information is actually printed on those things. There's a thing called the PNR. It's a 6-digit alphanumeric segment of coded text that has your name and where you're going, and if you're a frequent traveler, all kinds of stuff. So they say just don't leave them in the seat backs there because some people can actually read that information.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you look at
that one.
Look at all the stuff you're learning. Number 3. The flight number is also coded information. The last digit of the flight code signals a flight's direction. The odd number flights head south and west. The even number flights point north and east. Did you know that?
I did not.
I did not know that.
Did not.
Gizmodo provided that one for me, so I'll shout out to them for that. That was interesting. Number 2.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So the plane is not the riskiest part of your journey in the COVID era.
Okay.
So era. So what they're saying now in the day of COVID, that the airplanes have stepped up their HEPA filters for the air inside. They're actually spending more time cleaning their aircrafts than they used to. They're actually using chemicals that will kill viruses.
So pretty much it's the first time ever airplanes are being actually cleaned.
Yeah, they're the cleanest they've ever been right now. So if you want to, airplane flying is as clean as it's going to
I'm assuming it's getting your baggage and using the restroom.
I would guess. I mean, I don't know.
Because I remember in COVID, it was the funniest report I've ever read. It was a COVID article explaining how using the restroom causes COVID to spread. And it was a serious scientific article, but it was just hilarious reading it about droplets of fecal matter and waste eliminations.
They've always, so the attendants have always said that, people that go into the bathrooms together to do their Mile High Club whatever. They said that's the dirtiest, stinkiest, filthiest place you could ever want to be. And why would you want to do that there?
I said the same thing when an acquaintance got caught having coitus on the high school farm. And I remember making fun of him, saying, there's a very romantic gentleman you are. Instead of whining and dining and flowers, you said, hey, honey, here's a sheep. Pretty much.
Okay. Number one, I was back to what I was finishing with the other one, basically saying the planes right now are cleaner than you think. So it's safer to go flying than it's ever been. So book those flights. Of course, once you get to wherever you want to go, you probably can't do anything. But
mask up and enjoy your hotel room.
Yeah, simply because we're going into stage 1800 of this COVID saga. All right, enough of me. I did my top 10 lists for this show. Okay, hosts, it's up to you guys now.
Okay, I got a challenge for you. Name an obscure television show that nobody remembers.
I don't remember. That's stupid.
My Mom's a Car?
Yeah, My Mother's a Car.
Yeah.
It wasn't my
Sledgehammer.
mom. I liked that show.
Sledgehammer was hilarious.
No. My Mother's a Car. I liked when Jerry Van Dyke was doing the voice.
I've seen episodes of it. I wish they'd release it.
I'm really old.
But Sledgehammer is hilarious. It has the funniest line I've ever heard, and the show would get canceled in a heartbeat for it.
Yep.
I can repeat the line if you want. So basically,
I'm waiting.
So basically, this guy's kind of sexist. He's also an idiot. And this woman said, "I bet you want all women to be barefoot and pregnant." And his response was, "No, I prefer women to wear shoes." Yeah. And it was just the first time I heard it, it was like, holy shit, this was on network television.
Yep.
Of course you realize
for 2 seasons.
Of course you realize this is the same era that had Don Johnson and so.
Yeah. That every time somebody ever says, name an obscure show, I always say Sledgehammer right off the top of my head because I loved that show as a kid. And I rewatched it because I bought both the seasons that they had, and it is still pretty damn hilarious. It's cheesy, it's campy, it's inappropriate, but it's hilarious.
It's probably why it'll be a perennial classic because I bet it'll stay funny because it's so out of touch with modern society. Like it
was then too.
Like a Troma film. Troma will always be classics, but for the way they specifically wanted. So, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Go to Audacity.com and check out their website. Buy a card pack or check out what store near you can purchase that amazing game on. We did a couple of rounds of that game a couple episodes ago, or could have been 5 or 10.
Episodes, it was.
Episodes ago. We need to have Miss Audacity back. I keep meaning to call her, unfortunately, because my dumbass forgot some stuff. I needed to have multiple people on the show. That was not possible today. Other thing, please take a look at our social media feed so you can keep up to date with the MadTrio Facebook. I usually post everything to, and the Instagram account. So do me a favor.
The Instagram.
Yep, just like the Google. I'm all of a sudden George W. over here. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the California Pariah, the fat man, the old guy, as always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.